Media app.
It's the John and Gordy Show.
On our next show, John and Gordy will have more idiocracy than you can stand at 6:30.
About 15
All right,
seconds.
thank you.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers, our producer and engineer, on the board at 6 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock on this Monday, July the 21st, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Welcoming everybody back at the world headquarters of Civic Media in downtown Madison on State Street. Zommers, blue skies. We walked over to Wonder State up the street here on the square, got a little coffee. Well, you didn't get coffee.
I got tea. Baby.
You got tea. Coffee, tea, and me. That's all you need. It was it's a beautiful day in Madison.
It is. And, you know, I feel like this is the kind of weather that both I and normal people think is nice. Because,
Yes.
you know, it's sunny out, but not.
Wait, stop the show. You're telling me we have finally reached a happy medium for Zommers weather.
I think so. Because, you
Wow.
know, it's warm, but it's not hot.
Right.
There's a nice little breeze. And it's sunny, but it doesn't feel like it's burning my eyes out.
Oh, my gosh. Let's take a moment and mark this on the calendar. July 21st is the optimal Zommers weather.
Apparently.
That's fantastic. I'm very happy for you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be back in Madison today after what was an absolutely spectacular road show last week on Wednesday. Well, we were on Tuesday down in Racine at the studios of WRJN, the music station, and WAUK, the Talker, down as they call it, man. They call it the Talker down in Waukesha, Racine. That was great. That was fantastic. And then we got on the road. I did with Jane Matnair and Greg Bach, our great friends at Matnair on Air. We went up to Oshkosh, the EAA Museum. Couldn't have asked for better hosts up there. They were fantastic. The great Todd Michaels, along with our own Luke Mathers, were the coordinators for that trip. Went off like clockwork. And the rain held off right until the end of our show. But this is how nice the people are at EAA. They took pity on us, and they said, well, why don't you just drive your big van that you're traveling in, drive it right into the hangar and where you're at, and you can load up without having to go outside. So that was great. And then we went up to beautiful Park Falls. Our great team up there, led by Darla Isham and Big G, our salesman up there. Again, could not have gone better. Our northern Wisconsin leg of the trip up in Park Falls. And we did the show from Butternut on Thursday. That was absolutely fantastic. And a big shout out and thank you again to the Fanatical Fish Art Gallery and Studio. Kelly Meredith, the proprietor there, she was absolutely great. Could not have been more accommodating and nicer. And all the folks there at Park Falls as well. And then we went from Butternut and we went over to Hayward the next day. And we did the show from Hayward, downtown Hayward. And many, many thanks again to Darla and Big G and Mark Lundeen of Voice of Muskie 101, our music station in Hayward. So everybody was fantastic. Everybody was great. We appreciate everyone so very, and all of you for listening. I hope it was enjoyable. I hope you learned a lot about what makes Wisconsin great. I know we had a ball.
It was fun for me to listen to, I can tell you that.
Well, good.
And it made me want to go to those places very badly.
And you probably didn't bring it into the studio. I brought Zommers back a little gift.
Oh, no, I didn't. I can grab it during one of the breaks.
I brought a little gift from Butternut, from the sign shop, from Signature Sign in Butternut. Glenn Wagner, again, many thanks to Glenn Wagner of Signature Sign for also being a sponsor, along with Fanatical Fish Art Gallery and Studios in Butternut. Kelly Meredith, a sponsor as well, and the fantastic Lena Matola from Northern Pines Resort. Lena's Northern Pines Resort, just outside of Butternut, on Butternut Lake. And it was a great evening. Let me tell you something. Zommers, I know you're a Eagle Scout. Luke Mathers is an Eagle Scout. I've never seen anybody build a better fire quicker than our very own Jane McNair.
Really?
She likes to mess around with a fire, let me tell you. So Jane McNair was our fire builder, and she was basically sick of Greg and I by that point. She said, "You boys go off on the pontoon boat. I am sitting and chilling out." But no, I'm just kidding. Greg and I got an extra little ride on the pontoon, thanks to Lena. And so by the time we got back, there was a roaring fire on shore, and Jane's sitting there like it was no big deal at all, just messing around with the fire. So that was a lot of fun. So many thanks to all these great sponsors: Signature Sign, Fanatical Fish Art Gallery and Studios, and Lena's Northern Pines Resort. This whole thing could not have happened without you fine folks as sponsors as well. Oh, and I think Rivers and Rains, the great crystal and holistic shop in Hayward. Also, many thanks to her as well, because all these great sponsors made our trip possible. So many, many thanks to all of them. And Zommers, only here for a couple of days and back on the road. Can't wait. On Thursday, we'll be doing this show at the Wisconsin Public Education Network Convention in Green Bay. I believe at Green Bay Preble High School. Talking about public education on Thursday, and then from our great studios at WGBW in Green Bay on Friday. So, and Wednesday, there is a meeting of the holy seas of civic media. We're going into a conclave on Wednesday, folks. They've called a conclave on Wednesday, and so therefore I will not be here. None of the hosts will be. I don't think any of the hosts, because there's a big conclave meeting on Wednesday. And so filling in this chair, our friend and ongoing contributor, Trygve Olsen, senior advisor at the Lincoln Project. And how about this? State Senator Kelda Royce already booked as a guest with you and Trygve on Wednesday.
Fantastic. And, you know, during this meeting, I'll poke my head out in between segments just to see if you guys have hotboxed the smoke in the conference room yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it means if there's smoke from the conclave on Wednesday. If it's good or bad, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think any color of smoke is what you want to see in the conference room.
Probably not. Maybe what I'll do is I'll burn some sage, some lavender and sage that I got from the Rains and Rainbow thing up in Hayward.
As long as you say some sage. Do not omit the word some.
Because Sage Weil will actually be in the meeting. We're not going to burn him. We may burn some plant sage. I don't know. But it'll be a good time. You always learn something of these things.
For sure.
But yeah, it'll be also, and I haven't even put this in the chat yet, I brought back for you and all of our colleagues here in Madison from another great business in Hayward, Tremblay Sweet Shop. I brought back some dark chocolate and sea salt fudge and some peanut butter and chocolate fudge for the whole office here. So how about that? I try.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I try to take care of everybody. Big show today. Later on in hour number 2 after What's Worse. By the way, our category today, gossip or gaslighting. Gossip or gaslighting. We'll talk about that hour 2. Mike Clemens, our great sports reporter here at Civic Media, is going to be, here's what kind of guy Mike Clemens is. He's packing up for 6 weeks between the Brewers and the start of Packers training camp. Nobody works harder in this company than Mike Clemens. And so Clemens is going to be on the road. And he said, when I texted him this morning, I said, hey, you want to come on and talk about this big Brewers win streak? 10 games now. And he said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull over alongside the road and talk to you for 10 minutes. I said, you don't have to. No, he said, I'm going to do it. So Clemens is going to pull over, find a safe spot on the way up to Green Bay. He'll be on at 10 minutes to 4. So that'll be fantastic. Our friend and ongoing contributor, Jeff Perry, on Facebook, he claims, he says, I wrote a Harlequin romance novel called Gossip or Gaslighting.
Can you provide a copy? I would very much like to read it.
I would like to see the art. Have you ever seen the artwork on these things?
The artwork on romance novels is amazing.
Yeah. Usually some shirtless stud with longer flowing hair.
It's always Fabio. Or at least it's often Fabio.
Exactly. And then some, vixen who, is scantily clad in some lace, and they're looking into each other's eyes with a storm going on behind them.
Or there's a castle. Or there's
a castle.
An enchanted forest, right. Or something mysterious and mystical.
Mysterious and mystical, indeed. All right, so all that's coming up on the show today, and we've got a lot of state news to get to. We're going to touch a little bit on what's happening with this Epstein trial, or not trial, but the Epstein fiasco out in D.C. and Trump. And why haven't we heard, by the way, from any Republican congressman in Wisconsin on this? They don't seem to want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. So I'm not sure what that even means. Anyway, we'll discuss that a little bit later on in the show. Good news, by the way, the state budget for Wisconsin, if you're a Frank Lloyd Wright Taliesin fan, $5 million going to the preservation of Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin. Going to talk about that. Also, why defibrillators. Have you ever seen these like in businesses or schools? Cops carry them as well. Somebody's life was saved on a bike ride in Iowa over the weekend.
That's the idea.
We'll talk about the success there. Also, we'll try to get to some mapping news from University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and Milwaukee racial covenants hitting a snag after the Trump agency cuts funding for that program. All this in your phone calls as well, 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. I want to start with this. Earlier, a couple weeks ago, we were up in Chippewa Falls area with our colleague and friend Pat Kreitlow of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, by the way, every day from 6 until 9. And Pat and I had an opportunity. It was a short interview, but we were appreciative of the time. Republican candidate for Governor Josh Schoeman sat down with us for a short interview. Over the weekend, Bill Berrien, another Republican candidate for governor, sat down on WISN Television's Upfront program, which can be seen across the state. And so he sat down with Matt Smith, great reporter, great anchor there at Upfront. And here's Bill Berrien. The contrast, we're going to come back here, we're going to play these cuts, let you listen to them in real time, all right? So you can hear Schoeman's cut, and you can hear Berrien's cut. Do we still have time for the Schoeman one or not really? All right, so here, I want to remind people, this is the interview that Pat Kreitlow and I did with Republican candidate Josh Schoeman, asking him about the Trump endorsement. In this environment, I'm a former Republican, was for 30 years. As you look at the current iteration, it seems like a lot of people are saying, well, you are going to, or someone, whoever wins this Republican primary is going to have President Trump's endorsement. Do you feel that? Do you need President Trump's endorsement to win this race?
President Trump's certainly important. It is his party. I mean, he's been around for a decade now and changed everything in dynamics in politics in all of America. But I think this primary in particular is going to come down to one thing and one thing only. In my lifetime, Republicans have only ever elected two governors, Tommy Thompson and Scott Walker. Both were young, energetic guys in under 45. One was a county executive, son of a minister. And so we've got a template that we know works on our side. And that's what I expect to work this time. But the bottom line is we haven't had a candidate in a long time on our side that really burns the shoe leather, runs into media at county fairs, state fairs. And I think that's what we need. Meet people where they're at. Have conversations with one another again. Stop talking past each other. There's been way too much of that. And so that's what I like to see change in this campaign.
That was Republican candidate Josh Schoeman, candidate for governor, on whether he needed Trump's endorsement. Now, whether you agree with Schoeman or not, pretty good answer in terms of not being completely embracing of Trump, saying I really, really need his endorsement, but also not offending the Trump people as well. Bill Berrien has a different take on this. We're going to play the cut for you when we come back. As our friend Jeff Perry once said, if Bill Berrien married Marion Barry, it'd be Marion Berrien. Or something like that. Anyway, don't go anywhere. We'll suss all this out on the other side. It's a Monday edition of the Allbaugh Show, back in our home seat after this on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. You're going to find incredible savings during the 4th of July sale at Verlo Mattress. We dare you to compare our American-made, locally crafted factory
Didn't know their
direct
4th of July
mattresses.
sale was still going.
You see, we handcraft every Verlo mattress locally and pass the savings on to you. And every mattress we make is backed by our lifetime comfort guarantee. Save big when you upgrade to an adjustable base. And the more you buy, the more you save on pillows, sheets, and mattress protectors. But you'd better hurry. American-made, locally crafted. Verlo.
The Dane County Humane Society offers programs for humans of all ages.
Oh, wow.
For kids, there's Camp Paw Print, Scout Workshops, After Dark, and the new Camp Wildside. They also offer field trips, birthday parties, service days, and their new Paws and Pages reading program. Learn more at giveshelter.org/education.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and connected to your local community. Here's Terry Barr with the Civic Media Radio Network.
Like how it's one of the same cat
It's
noises
ice
that I
cream
used
month, and did you know you can celebrate
for,
at this area stop along the state's
promo with
ice
Banging on the
cream
Hood.
trail? Here's the scoop.
Now, in Wisconsin, we've got 49 different licensed ice cream plants that are making it. But this map focuses in on unique stops in Wisconsin. Every one of them's got a story.
That's Pam Youngke, known as the Fabulous Farm Babe. She says the current trail includes 20 locations, each one from Hayward to La Crosse, Madison, and then north to Appleton, Green Bay, and Door County dishes out delicious, locally made ice cream.
I've been to one or two, but I'm surprised by how few I've gotten a chance to visit, and I'm a pretty big ice cream fan.
Find the trail at the website gatherwisconsin.com.
My bag was in the
and
shop,
your
folks. I'm
own
sorry
local
about that.
favorite there, too.
My
Until
book
next
bag,
time,
as
I'm
it
Terry
turns
Barr.
out.
Veterans, have you explored your benefits? The Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs is here for
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along. 22 past the hour of 2 o'clock on a Monday in July the 21st, 2025. For those watching on the stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twix, whichever you want to call it, got my Milwaukee Brewers Bob Uecker jersey on today. Brewers, one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in baseball right now.
Well, they're tied with the Cubs.
But yes, they're tied with the Cubs, but I don't think the Cubs have won 10 in a row.
I don't believe so.
So the Brewers are tied with the Cubs in the NL Central. I have to think about how far they've come. Terrible start against New York at the start of the season. Now they've come back, won 10 in a row. They're going for number 11 tonight in Seattle. You can hear it on the Milwaukee Brewers Radio Network. Many of our stations on the Civic Media Network, a part of that. Remember, you have to listen to it over terrestrial radio, i.e. on your radio. We can't stream it, unfortunately. Others own the rights to the stream. But you can hear it over the air in places like Hayward, where Jane and Greg and I just were, up in the beautiful North Woods. Also WRCE in Richland Center. Over at Oshkosh, WISS, where we just were as well. I believe they're also playing in WRJN in Racine. So you can hear over the air there, the Milwaukee Brewers Radio Network. So the Brewers won 10 in a row. They go for 11 tonight. Now, tomorrow, I think Woodruff is on the mound tonight, and then The Miz is on the mound tomorrow. Later on in the show, Mike Clemens will confirm all that. And if you're a person listening on WAUK in Milwaukee, you know this already, but George Webb Burgers will give away, I believe, sliders or burgers once they hit either the 12 or the 13 mark. And so people in the Milwaukee area getting very, very excited, not just for the winning of the Brewers and what it means to the National League race, but also to their stomachs. By the way, our own Terry Barr watching on YouTube. Thank you, Terry. She's all over it. She says the Cubs are 6-4 over the last 10 games. So see, not nearly as hot. Not nearly as hot. So anyway, it'll be great. We're going to talk to Mike Clemens about that coming up later on in the show. All right, back to the matters at hand. We played you the cut there before we went to the commercial. Can't say break anymore, by the way.
Well, now you said it.
It's a bad word. So, if you go to the bathroom, it's just a bathroom interruption. It's not a bathroom break. Anyway, this governor's race, people are on Evers' watch. I heard Matt Smith talk about that on another show earlier today. The media is on Evers' watch to see whether he's going to run again for a third term as Wisconsin governor. Bill Berrien on the WISN TV television program Up Front over the weekend. And we played you before the break, we played you our interview with his opponent in the primary, Josh Schoeman. And Schoeman gave a very nuanced answer there, saying, look, Donald Trump's important to our party, but I think it's really going to come down to the people of Wisconsin. I'm paraphrasing. That's basically what he said. Very smart answer, in my opinion. Here is the cut over the weekend on Up Front, Matt Smith talking to GOP gubernatorial candidate Bill Berrien.
Do you think you need President Trump's endorsement to win the primary here in the state?
I do. And I think we have a great chance of getting it. Because again, I have the vision for making Wisconsin, literally ground zero for the reindustrialization that he's trying to lead in the country. I mean, nowhere else in the country is it more likely. We've got a 125-year-old manufacturing ecosystem. We have a highly trained, highly trainable workforce. You have the tariffs that are incentivizing businesses to, consider investing in the country. And now you have the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that, it's like a Black Friday sale of factory expansion. No coupons required between, all the business incentives for investing in manufacturing.
Have you had any conversations here with the president or his team?
Various members of his orbit, yes. So, try to keep those keep them updated on where we're going.
As you know, conservative talk radio is a big influence here in the state, especially when you look at the primary. Have you been surprised by the reception that you've received in these first couple days?
As I haven't, coming at this as an outsider and a businessman. I don't have a track record necessarily speaking on political issues.
One host, Vicky McKenna, called you a never Trump, no MAGA rhino. Jay Rebler said anyone who supports ranked choice voting, as you once stated, is either dangerously dishonest or dangerously dumb. Are they wrong?
I do think they are wrong in underestimating the positive leadership that I can provide the state.
All right, that's Bill Berrien, one of the Republican gubernatorial candidates for next year on Up Front with Matt Smith on WISN, the statewide public affairs program that's syndicated across the state. Now, very different responses. The interview we did with Josh Schoeman, he was like, look, Donald Trump's important, but it's really going to come down to the voters of the state. You just heard Bill Berrien say, absolutely, I need Trump's endorsement, and I'll use the term sucking up to Trump and the MAGA folks. Meanwhile, conservative talk radio just called him dumb because they're ticked off because Bill Berrien used to support Nikki Haley for president. And they don't like that. He was not a Trumper from day one. And there was a time when he thought, wow, ranked choice voting makes sense, until he found out, wait, that doesn't fly with the MAGA base. No, I actually don't like that. So he ain't sitting too well over in MAGA land, Bill Berrien.
He better be careful when he's mowing his lawn because his spine's a little floppy.
That's very true. So I think it's very, very interesting to hear these two guys juxtaposed like that. And the way they're going about this gubernatorial primary on the Republican side. And, of course, we don't know who else might get in. I still believe that Congressman Tom Tiffany is going to get in this race as well for Wisconsin. We'll come back, talk about this, and also about something going on in Milwaukee tomorrow regarding Final Five voting. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Monday across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
A new choice. Madison's real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Download the Civic Media app in the Google Play or Apple App Store and take us everywhere. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
We don't have a farm bill, and commodity prices continue to crater. So why are Wisconsin farmers still optimistic? I'm PM Yankee with a quick update on what's happening in food and farming news on a Monday. We'll find out an answer next.
You're invited to Clinton Farms in Bear Creek for this year's Farm Technology Days, Generations of Progress. This year's event features the chance to explore cutting-edge equipment, innovative techniques, and taking a glimpse into the next generation of agriculture. There's also a Rotary Parlor, seminars, and of course, field demos of all kinds. Mark your calendars for August 5th through the 7th and bring the whole family to this year's event. For more information and show details, visit wifarmtechdays.org.
Jeff Hadachek is an assistant professor in the Agriculture and Applied Economics Department on the UW-Madison campus. He said a recent survey done by Purdue University shows despite all the pitfalls that Wisconsin farmers are working around, they remain optimistic about their future.
I think when it comes to farmer sentiment, I'm actually surprised. I think farmers are generally more optimistic than I would have anticipated if I would have expected to be at this point here in July. My colleagues at Purdue do this ag barometer, and they test sort of current farmer sentiment and their prospects about the future. And even though, farmers generally acknowledge that trade uncertainty is harmful for their economic bottom line, I think they're still optimistic that in the long run, these negotiations will result in a little bit more favorable outcomes.
Jeff Hadachek, he's an assistant professor in the Department of Applied and Agriculture Economics on the UW-Madison campus. He said the big, beautiful bill recently adopted into law actually has about 90%.
Folks watching the stream, what should we talk about tomorrow?
This is really weird for me right now because whenever you're not talking, I'm not hearing an insane hissing noise that's driving me crazy. It feels weirdly quiet. But there was something wrong with the headphone amp on this board, and I brought another piece of equipment of my own to try and
he brought his own equipment,
make it better, and it is working, and it's
I'm very
weird.
happy for you. All right. What am I going to talk about tomorrow? What are we going to talk about tomorrow? It's Tuesday. Oh, it's Shark Week. All right, let's do that. In 3, 2, and 1. Hey, everybody, join us next time. We live in Wisconsin, but it's Shark Week across America. Are you concerned? We'll discuss it next. Join us. I don't know. It's not great.
It's also a little short.
All right.
But I don't know what else you're going to say.
I don't know right off the top of my head right now what news is going to break. I guess I could save one of these other stories till tomorrow.
We can also wait until between the hours.
Yeah. Let me think about it. I may have something pop into my head between then and now. Stay tuned for hour number 2 if Todd can come up with something to talk about for tomorrow.
Become partly cloudy tonight with a chance of showers and storms early tomorrow morning. A few more expected through the overnight into Wednesday.
Yeah, do you want some of this fudge?
The heat cranks up and highs hit the 90s.
Sure.
I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, 78 degrees.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
I imagine we'll talk about Superman. It's the same thing I said about F1. It's a great video. The music is great. The action's great. The CGI is great. I don't feel like they had to really develop the characters. It was fine.
I thought they did a really good job of showing Superman's humility.
I agree with you, though. My positives, it wasn't 2 hours and 40 minutes like every other blockbuster movie this summer, but lots to like there.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. The John and Gordy
And I have the glass in here as well.
All right. Oh, very good.
Adjustable bed frame. We got 2 twins, put them together.
Yeah.
So, each of us could adjust the bed frame the way we want.
And you're one.
Yes, with
Not talking about John and Gordy. Just clear. People raising their eyebrows. We're only here for 2 hours. 6 to 8 a.m.
That'll work to make it legible.
Barry Shark Week, Candy Graham. fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 35 now, past 2 o'clock on a Monday, July 21st. Glad to have you along. Zombers on the board here at Civic Media's headquarters downtown Madison. Nice to be back in the old chair. Always great to be on the road. Love it, but nice to be back in the home studio as well. Brought back Zombers a little gift. Jay Matt, Greg Bach, and I were on the road around Wisconsin, and we were in Butternut, Zombers, and one of the cool stores we got to go into, and he was one of our sponsors, one of our guests, Glenn Wagner of Signature Sign. And so I thought, we have to be careful because Zombers can't have a lot of foods, so I want to give him that. So I thought, well, what's something that innocuous that it's not going to hurt him, but he might enjoy? So I found this glass. He's holding it up to the camera right now, and it says, "Get Nutty in Butternut, Wisconsin." It's like a little rocks glass, basically. So you can put in wherever you want to in there, Zombers, and enjoy a beverage and think of Butternut.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And, it's got the Butternutters. Exactly what you want.
That's exactly what they're called, the Butternutters. And people from Butternut are called Butternutters. Also brought back for the office here some Tremblay's Sweet Shop fudge. They make this in Hayward, Wisconsin. And Zombers are going to try now. I've already tried it. Jay, Matt, and Eric, Greg had a taste of this as well. This is the dark chocolate and sea salt.
It smells really good.
It is. Apologies for those watching, eating on the air.
Tastes very good, too.
What do you think of that? What do you think of that, Zombers?
I love salt. I love caramel.
Mm-hmm.
It's got... Oh, it doesn't have caramel, does it? But
salt and fudge.
Mm-hmm. And I think it goes together really well. It's very soft. Yeah. I'm a fan.
It's great. Tremblay's. And they're in Hayward, Eagle River, and Stillwater, Minnesota. So there you go. Many thanks to all the great people that made the trip. Happen. Want to get into this? We talked about it there right before Pam Yonke's update at the bottom of the hour, and we talk about this a lot on this show. Other programs do as well. How can we improve voting in this state? In other words, get more people involved. There was like 30-some% of people in Wisconsin in the last election that didn't vote. Just said, for whatever reason, not going to show up. And they were qualified people to vote. So how do you get more people involved? Well, you want to make it, encourage people to vote. So here's something going on, and I know this is kind of particular to our listeners at WAUK down in Waukesha, Milwaukee area, but I think it bears some calling out. Says, do you want to learn how to curb political divisiveness? Give more power to voters, get Congress to work together, join us for a hands-on demonstration that will give you a taste of Final Five voting and delicious Sunday toppings. Now, I think we have finally found decent elected officials, and I don't know anything about these people, by the way, but any elected official that says we're having a demonstration on voting, Final Five voting, that includes delicious Sunday toppings, well, there you go. I'm interested. Says promote country over party, restore civic responsibility for voters and elected officials, reduce special interest influence, and encourage more choice in candidates. So have you ever said, well, I just don't get it? Could somebody explain this to me, this Final Five voting? Well, here you go. It's happening tomorrow, July 22nd, from 6 until 7:30 in the evening at the West Milwaukee Community Center, located at 1345 South 47th Street. It's hosted by a couple of great folks, or three great folks. The first, Milwaukee County Supervisors, and I've never heard of this person, but I think the name is fantastic. Sky, middle initial Z, Capriolio, or Caprillo? I'm not sure. But first of all, any elected official with the name of Sky, I think that's great. Also, Steve Taylor is a Milwaukee County Supervisor, and West Milwaukee Village President John Stalwiski, or Stalewiski. Anyway, these folks are just being presented by Voters First of Wisconsin. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about these elected officials. I just give them credit for facing the public and saying, we want to talk to you about Final Five voting, give you an actual demonstration, and if you come, it will involve ice cream and toppings. That's creative. I like that. So, anyway, check that out. Zommers, I think that's in our political. You're not on. We have all these chats at Civic Media. Let me see which one this is in. Yes, this goes for our politics chat, ladies and gentlemen.
I am in this one.
Are you really? Oh,
Yes.
great. Well, it's all that's in there. So, Zommers, if you'd be so kind as to put it in our show notes, if you're interested, tomorrow, July 22nd, 6 until 7:30 in the evening at West Milwaukee Community Center. A great demonstration and talk and discussion on Final 5 voting. Check it out if you're in the AUK listing area down there in Milwaukee, or just take a trip over. I'm sure you don't have to live in South Milwaukee in order to go, but you could. You could. All right, let's go to the phone lines. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Talking a little bit earlier about we're on Evers' watch, as it's being called. I think Matt Smith coined that phrase earlier today. We're on Evers' watch. Will Governor Evers run again? Joining us on the phone, Wisco Paul. Wisco, what do you want to say?
Hi, good afternoon, Todd. What a great tour of Wisconsin you had up in the great fishing area, Haywood and Butternut. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to that. It was so much fun to do it with Jane and Greg, and many thanks to all of our sponsors.
Yeah, that'd be a totally awesome trip. Beautiful area. My thoughts on Tony is I don't think he'll run again. Although if he did, I'd certainly vote for him because he's done a great job as governor of the state of Wisconsin. It's a very credible job. And he's got a low profile persona about himself that kind of goes well with the state of Wisconsin. But the bench is pretty deep for the Democratic Party, and I just, because of his age, not because it's a deterrent, but because of his age, I just have the feeling he's just going to say, I've done a good job, I've had enough. And you have the lieutenant governor, she's a great lady, I met her once.
Yeah, Sarah
And then,
Rodriguez.
of course, there's, yeah, and then Sarah Gowilski's also pretty formidable opponent for governor. So that's just my thoughts, Todd, and you get to have so much fun in your job. I'm envious.
We do. I mean,
have a great day.
Thank you very much. Always appreciate your listenership, Wisco Paul. Yeah, look, I mean, if you travel with us, kind of the behind the scenes thing is I sweat a lot. And Jane and Greg can testify to that. And Kreitlow, too. He's traveled a little bit, and Trivy. Because there's a lot of setup before and a lot of tear down afterwards. But look, I'm not complaining. The way I look at it is, it's a free gym membership. I can help my fatty liver by doing the exercise of setting up and tearing down.
And hopefully it cancels out the fudge.
Exactly right. But yes, I'm very fortunate, very blessed to get to go to these great locations and hopefully provide all of you as listeners to bring you the stories. One of my favorite ones last week in Hayward was the street performer. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic. Just talking to him a little bit and bringing you his playing the songs there. So I don't know. I'm always curious. I love to hear people's stories, and it was a heck of a lot of fun to bring it to you all. I appreciate you listening. And yes, I agree with you, Wisco. I don't think Tony Evers is going to run either. When he's going to announce that, I don't know. But I would agree. I don't think he's going to run either. 43 minutes now past the hour of 2 o'clock. I want to get to this one. My former party, Republicans, I left the party in 2011. But growing up and being in the party for almost 30 years, there was one of the main tenets of being a good Republican was local control. We think if you're in Wisconsin, you say, back in the day being a Republican, you say, the people in Madison don't know best. It's the people back home. And if you're in Wisconsin, they say, well, the people out in D.C. don't know best. It's the people here in Wisconsin. And I basically still believe that, by the way. I think that decisions being made closer to where it affects the people is a better thing. The county board, the city council making decisions, the local school board is better than decisions being made further away. Generally speaking, always an exception. And I think that the more decisions we can make in Wisconsin, rather than being controlled by D.C., I generally speaking think that's better. I mean, of course, there are big issues, right? Like national defense. I don't want people in Wisconsin making those decisions necessarily. Well, maybe in today's federal government I do. you know what I'm saying. So here now, this is very interesting to me. In the USA Today today, and I love saying that, in the USA Today today, Dateline, Washington. And I guess, by the way, it wasn't today. This was posted on July 19th, so a couple of days ago, by Maureen Grappi. Headline, Trump DOJ wants Supreme Court to bring down hammer on gun rules. After the Supreme Court in 2022 made it harder to restrict who can arm themselves in public, some states took a different approach. 5 Democratic-led, mostly densely populous states passed laws that prohibit bringing a handgun onto someone else's property without that person's express consent. Now, that seems pretty, stepping away from the article, that seems pretty standard, right? You see places, even in Wisconsin today, that has a handgun, as a sticker on the door, and there's a handgun with one of those circle and a slash through it, meaning no guns, you can't bring in a gun into this business. And certainly, I think most Wisconsinites, most of us would agree, even those like myself who are owners of firearms and hunters, would say, look, you shouldn't be able to bring a gun into someone else's house if they don't want that there. It's pretty common sense. Well, now the Trump administration wants the Supreme Court to declare that such rules in Hawaii, California, New York, Maryland, and New Jersey violate the Constitution. Quote, the United States has a substantial interest in the preservation of the right to keep and bear arms and in the proper interpretation of the Second Amendment. Unquote. Solicitor General John Sauer wrote in explaining why the Department of Justice wants the High Court to weigh in. That's not the only example of how the change in the administration is affecting the litigation over gun regulations. In a move alarming groups working to prevent gun violence, the DOJ declined to continue to defend a federal law setting 21 as the minimum age to own a handgun after an appeals court ruled the restriction unconstitutional. The DOJ also told the Supreme Court that the federal government no longer opposes all aspects of the Missouri law, blocked by a lower court after the Biden administration and others challenged it, that would penalize state police for enforcing federal gun control laws. Look, again, as someone who owns firearms, hunting rifles, and a pistol, as they say, I'm not opposed to it. Obviously, I think people should be able to have a gun to hunt and protect themselves, as long as it's all legal. But this idea that the Trump Department of Justice now wants to usurp states' rights should scare even gun owners. Because it's the federal government now saying, we don't care what you decide at your state level. And that goes both ways. We'll discuss it when we come back. 855-752-4842. It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Join the family. Civic Media has a number of great jobs across the state open now at civicmedia.us/careers.
Blind Shot Social Club, a perfect blend of cool, casual dining, indoor golf with space for events, craft cocktails, and non-alcoholic drinks too. A hidden gem on Madison's east side. Blind Shot Social Club, open to everyone. BlindShotSocialClub.com.
At Chance Design Build, we provide remodeling done well with love. Our commitments extend beyond our workplace and your home to support our community. We judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin, and we believe all humans deserve quality, publicly funded education, childcare, and health care. But what do you believe in? At Chance Design Build, we believe every person must have the opportunity to thrive. If you're thinking about remodeling your home, go to chancedesignbuild.com to learn more about our commitments to you, your home, and our community.
It's the Eco Minute, powered by Clean Wisconsin, your environmental voice since 1970. I'm Amy Barrio. An unwelcome surprise for Wisconsin farmers looking to apply for the Federal Rural Energy for America program, or REAP. The popular program helps rural small businesses and farmers invest in money-saving energy efficiency upgrades and clean energy. But the application
actually
window
don't
that
know
was
if that
supposed
event
to
is
open
open to the
July
public.
1st was abruptly closed by the USDA. The agency says it's
Because
delaying
on the
grant
thing that
application
Dan
window.
Schaefer sent,
The EPA is awarding a
it says
$700,000 grant to help
RSVP
Kenosha
to the
County
person who
pay for
invited
the
you
final
by
phase
July
of
18th.
restoration of the
Event
Pike
capped
River.
at 65
Crews
guests
are
due to
restoring
space and
banks and
supplies.
habitat along the river and planting native pollinator-friendly
Well,
plants.
Sage said to put it on the
Project
air.
is aimed at improving the quality of water flowing into Lake Michigan. For a deep dive into
Well, you put it on the air.
environmental issues impacting
I'll
Wisconsin,
I can
check
just
out
say,
my
it just says,
Defender
let's mention this on
podcast at
air.
cleanwisconsin.org or wherever
Hang
you
on.
get your podcasts.
Yeah.
He said, Luke says, copy to Greg to cover
Today's
on
job
AUK
market is full of
drop-in. So
demand
tease
for
the event
skilled
tomorrow
trade
morning.
workers.
He's reaching out to folks there.
Electricians, welders,
Recap it in the
mechanics,
coming days.
These and other trades are the backbone of every community.
All right.
They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National
But thank
Guard
you
is
for actually
always
reading the
fulfilling its mission of
information.
service to our
So for
country
those
and
watching the
community.
stream,
Soldiers
you
train
may
to
or may
keep the
not be
power
able to get
flowing,
into the event.
engines
You might want
running,
to check
and
it out
supplies
first.
moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same
Call
ones
up
needed
Sky
in
Z
today's civilian
Capriolo.
workforce.
Yes,
and
yes.
or
Army
Steve
National
F.
Guard
Taylor.
soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association.
30
and this
seconds.
station.
Thank you.
Being blind doesn't look how others may think. Retinitis pigmentosa.
Where everyone knows everyone. There ain't no secrets around here. Son, either you love me or you hate me for everything I am. Either I hold your heart or I hold you down. I'm a small town.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 8 minutes now before the hour of 3 o'clock. Little Kenny Chesney, small town. Went to a lot of small towns this last... And part of the fun for me, traveling with Jane, Matt, Eric, Greg, Bach, is going through these little burgs. Once we got off of the 4-lane highways and got on the little 2-lane ones, that's what's fun for me.
Isn't it? I
Yeah.
love that. Sometimes when I drive back to Manitowoc or head over to Milwaukee to visit friends or something like that, I'll specifically go off the main highways, and then you get to drive through all these little places and just be like, I wonder what all these different neighbors are like here. And I wonder, it seems like it'd be a lot of cool places to hang out.
We passed, and I think Big G talked about this up in Butternut. There's a concrete park where these artisans made concrete statues and figures. And everything. It's undergoing a big restoration right now up in the Park Falls area. So one of the many cool things in our small towns. Want to finish up on this Trump story in the USA Today, talking about the Trump Department of Justice wants the Supreme Court to bring down the hammer on gun rules. And at first glance, if you're a gun owner and you're a big Second Amendment person, you say, well, this is great. This is great. We want less restrictions. But I caution you out there who might be very pro. And like I said, I'm a gun owner. I'm a firearm owner. I still bird hunt occasionally, target shoot, skeet. So I got no problem with. I just don't think that people need AR-15s. I'll tell you one thing. All the guys I used to deer hunt with, if anybody would have brought an AR-15, they would have been laughed at. My granddad would have thrown you off our property on the farm. He would have said, get that thing out of here. Because there's no sport to that, bringing an AR-15 to deer hunt with. I also think there should be waiting periods. I also think there should be red flag laws. If you have someone who's abused a spouse or has a violent criminal history, they shouldn't have guns. Mental health issues shouldn't have a gun. I think you should have to be at least 21. 21 to have a firearm or have a handgun rather. And now the Trump administration is signaling on almost all these things. They want to basically just be the Wild West again. But the what do they call it? Easter egg? Is that what people call it when they put little things in movies or video games? The Easter egg in this story that I think people are missing is that the Trump administration wants to usurp the state's rights on this. And that should scare the bejeebers out of anybody who actually is a gun owner. Because I'm telling you this, it's all fun and games and good to go until it's not. In other words, as the Trump administration continues to usurp states' rights, local control, and consolidate the power in Washington around Trump, not other elected officials, not our agencies, not our generals, but Trump solely, there will come a day when Donald Trump and his ilk say, we don't want anybody to be armed. And they're coming for your guns. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, he's just gone lib. Well, I spent 30 years in that party. I know how they think. And I'm just telling you that the old-fashioned, and I'm not here to tell you that the old Republican Party was perfect. I got a lot of problems with them. I'm just telling you that the traditional Republican Party believed in states' rights and local control. And the fact that Trump and Pam, the Bondi girl, Bondi, are trying to usurp local power and state power and put it in D.C. is not something that's good for people that believe in individual liberties and freedom. So there's that. From the Des Moines Register, some good news for you. Action by an Iowa State Patrol trooper likely saved the life of a rider on the first day of a Register's annual Great Bicycle Ride across Iowa, better known as Allbaugh. According to a spokesman for the agency, the man from California had no pulse as bystanders administered CPR yesterday. An Iowa State Patrol spokesperson, Sergeant Alex Dinkla, who is messaging for the troops managing the troops directing traffic for the ride. Dinkla said a trooper handling an intersection crossing the vicinity was summoned to the scene with an automated external defibrillator, which troopers routinely carry in their cruisers. The bystanders have been administering first aid for, quote, quite some time, unquote, when the trooper arrived. Quote, he showed up, they put the AED defibrillator on there, they administered a shock with the EAD, and shortly thereafter, they detected a pulse, unquote. The man was taken by ambulance, to a hospital in Orange City, Iowa, where the day one ride began. He was later taken by air ambulance to a hospital in Sioux City, where late yesterday afternoon he was, quote, alert, conscious, and receiving medical care, unquote. This is the third Allbaugh in which troopers have carried AEDs in their car, and the second life they've saved on Allbaugh during that time. Quote, we're thankful we're able to carry these AEDs, unquote, according to the trooper. Big props to the troopers. Big props to the Iowa legislature for funding troopers with those automatic defibrillators. And just a great reminder, this can happen anytime, anywhere. So when your city council or your school board says, I don't know if we should spend whatever it is, X amount of money to put an AED defibrillator in here, do it. Because it might save your life. It might save the life of somebody that you love.
I also recommend learning how to use one. We had to learn how in Boy Scouts, and thankfully I've never had to, but I feel comfortable knowing how to use it.
That makes me very happy. Who knows? Who knows, right? Great story out of Allbaugh. Great ride over there in Iowa as well. All right, come on back on a What's Worse for You, gossip or gaslighting. And if you're a Taliesin Frank Lloyd Wright fan, there's $5 million in the new state budget for you. Come on back, hour 2 straight ahead on the Civic Media right now.
This is 92.7 WMDX.
As part of the first aid merit badge requirements, is to learn how to use an AED and do it with like a dummy.
Really?
And I remember as a 12 or 13-year-old learning that merit badge. Part of it is removing the shirt. And I'm like, but what if there's a woman having a heart condition and then they try and sue me for touching them? It's like, no, you saved their life. I was a dumb 12-year-old. That's all.
Well, for a 12-year-old, I guess it's a good question.
During the raid, Breonna Taylor was shot and killed in her home. The 48-year-old Hankerson faces up to life in prison, but the Justice Department has recommended that he serve one day. Taylor's family is furious.
ABC's Jim Ryan. In Texas, state lawmakers have convened today for a special session, taking up legislation following the July 4th catastrophic flooding in Hill Country that killed at least 130 people. Fans are mourning the sudden death of Malcolm Jamal Warner, best known for his role as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Police in Costa Rica say Warner drowned at a beach in Limerick.
So I can go on Sunday.
Caught by a high crowd. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
I can have 4 tickets for that. And then the one for Brady for all 12 is the September 14th.
This is the Civic Media Radio
Thank
Network.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
For 92.7 WMDX News.
Do you have any thoughts yet for the teaser?
Yes, I do. Thanks to Luke.
Excellent. Ready when you are.
All right. 3, 2, and 1. Hey, everybody, join us next time talking about a serious and important subject, the increase in suicide. Try that again. 3, 2, and 1. Hey, everybody, join us next time. An important topic, the increase in death by suicide by Wisconsin's elderly. Folks from Wisconsin Watch will join us and discuss. Be here. Thank you.
Wisconsin Elections Commission have repeatedly said if someone took charge, at least some of those 193 ballots could have been counted in time. Well, now we know what Witzel Bell was doing on vacation. VoteBeat reports Witzel Bell invited the clerk's office staff to a cookie decorating extravaganza on December 7th. For weeks, she'd reportedly been baking 100 different types of cookies. It also says Witzel Bell reserved city vehicles and suggested her staff use them to deliver cookies to local libraries. The Wisconsin Elections Commission just approved its investigation into the missing ballots last week. It determined Witzel Bell violated the law. Over and over, commissioners have made it clear that while accidents happen, they're most disturbed by the fact that after those ballots were found, nothing really happened for more than a month. Their investigation is thousands of pages long and includes more than a dozen depositions. The cookie stuff never came up. And when VoteBeat told Commissioner Don Millis about it, he was shocked to learn that when Witzel Bell was on vacation for almost a month, she was actually right here in town, even spending time with staff from the clerk's office, all while people's votes went uncounted. We have the full story on our website. Just head to WMDXradio.com.
I think this person might have a hard time finding a job other than flipping burgers.
92.7 WMDX News.
So you took a month-long vacation.
The Brewers head to Seattle. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Baseball tonight. The Brewers opening a 3-game series against the Mariners at T-Mobile Park. The Brewers with a 6-5 win yesterday on the road against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Manager Pat Murphy pleased with catcher Eric Haas and shortstop Joey Ortiz.
It felt good that we kept grinding at bats out. They know how they have to play. And, Eric Haas, he doesn't get to play very much, getting a big RBI. With 2 outs, Ortiz, what can you say about the way the guy played defense?
The Brewers have now won 10 in a row. NFL Packers reporting to Green Bay for the start of Wednesday's first day of practice. Linebacker Quay Walker, physically unable to perform. He's been dealing with that ankle injury at the end of last season.
Hard to say. I think I just do too much thinking, to be honest with you, instead of just going out there and just play. Half is making me think, whatever the case may be, it just be me trying to do everything right instead of just lining up and just playing. I can be a real productive player.
That's Packers linebacker Quay Walker with Sports on Mike Clemens. As Wisconsin is summer weekends being spent on the lake, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
A hazy sunshine today with high temperatures scraping the low 80s and an east breeze. Become partly cloudy tonight with a chance of showers and storms early tomorrow morning. And then a few more expected through the overnight into Wednesday. That's when the heat cranks up and highs hit the 90s. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Currently, it's 79.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
I imagine we'll talk about Superman. It's the same thing I said about F1. It's a great video. The music is great. The action's great. The CGI is great. I don't feel like they had to really develop the characters. It was fine.
I thought they did a really good job of showing Superman's, humility.
I agree with you there. One of my positives, it wasn't 2 hours and 40 minutes like every other blockbuster movie this summer, but lots to like there.
Pete has John Roach on tonight.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our producer and engineer, Mr. Aaron Summers, on the board. It's 6 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big program. It's Monday, July 21st, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Sunny skies at the world headquarters of Civic Media in downtown Madison on State Street. Glad to be back with you after a great trip last week with our friends, our colleagues, Jane Matnair and Greg Bach of Matnair on Air. You can hear them every morning from 9 until 11. Went to Oshkosh Bagosh, then went to beautiful Butternut, Wisconsin, in northern Wisconsin, right above Park Falls, and then drove west over to Hayward. Was a good time had by all, as my former social studies teacher Ken Lewis is fond of saying. Many thanks to all of our fine sponsors, including Signature Sign in Butternut, Wisconsin, and proprietor Glenn Wagner. Also, Fanatical Fish Art Gallery in Studios, and the great Kelly Meredith, great artisan, great host. And also to Northern Lena's Northern Pines Resort, and the wonderful Lena Matola, owner and proprietor there, where Greg and Jane and I stayed for a couple of nights just outside of Park Falls on Butternut Lake at Northern Pines. Now, here at Northern Pines, here's what you got. A great host in Lena. You've got a great restaurant and bar, right? You can sit at the bar and look right onto Butternut Lake. Nothing I like better than a bar where you can look out onto the lake.
Me too.
Right? They've got a horseshoe pit there. There was a horseshoe tournament going on. You've got a 3 Seasons bar and porch area, so you can go out there in the spring, summer, and fall and be at a bar and sit down and have dinner there. They have a great salad bar, make homemade soups every night. All your favorite northern Wisconsin specialties, everything from steak to fish to a sandwich. It's great. It's fantastic food and service. And then you can stay there if you want at one of their great cabins. Our cabin had 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen, great living room. Our sliding glass doors looked right out onto Butternut Lake. Have pontoons there. You can either rent alone as a standalone item, or if you stay there, you can add that on to your trip. We got to go out on a pontoon. That was great on Butternut Lake. Very, very relaxing. And then they sell you firewood right there for a couple of bucks. I brought the firewood over, and our friend and colleague, it wasn't me building the fire. It wasn't Greg Bach building the fire. No. It was Jane Matnair. Now, here is a legend in broadcasting in Wisconsin, spent 40 years and still going strong, by the way, in the Milwaukee area on radio. She's done it all. She's seen it all. A pioneer in her field, Jane Matnair. And you think, well, that's more than enough right there. The woman can host, she can produce, she can interview, she can make you laugh, has one of the greatest laughs in radio. And you think, well, that's enough. But no. She is also a fire builder. She likes to build the fire and then mess around in the fire.
She'd probably fit right in at Boy Scout camp when the leaders aren't looking.
Really? Yeah. She likes to mess around with the fire. It's fantastic. So we had a great time. So many thanks to Lena's Northern Pines Resort for hosting us, Fanatical Fish Art Gallery and Studio, and Signature Sign for just some of our great sponsors up there on our big tour. So great to be back in the studio today. Zommers and I are enjoying some of the fudge from one of the fudge and candy shops, Tremblay Sweet Shop up there in Hayward. Coming up later on this hour, going to have Mike Clemens, our great sports reporter, who is on his way to Green Bay to cover the opening of the Packers training camp on Wednesday. We'll talk to Clemens about that, and also the Brewers win streak at 10. Hottest team in baseball, tied with the Cubs for the National League Central Division, and I believe tied with the Cubs and the Tigers, Detroit, for the best team in baseball. They take on, the Brewers do, the Seattle Mariners tonight at 8:05 local time in Wisconsin. That's when the broadcast starts. I'm assuming the first pitch will be thrown at around 8:35 local time in Wisconsin. This is not good news if you're a guy like me, the go, man, if I want to listen to that whole game a late night, but do it and stay up. It's great news if you're a young buck like my favorite youngest godson, Jason, who lives out in the Seattle area. And I messaged him this morning and said, Jace, are you going to go watch? Because Mizorowski, the Miz, is scheduled to pitch in Seattle tomorrow night. I think Woodruff is on the mound tonight. He said, we're going to both games. He's got some buddies out there. They're all going with their Brewers jerseys. They're going to cheer on the Brewers out there in Seattle tonight. So be listening tonight on the Milwaukee Brewer Radio Network and right here on many stations on the Civic Media Radio Network, including WRCE in Richland Center, WISS in Oshkosh, WRJN in Racine, Kenosha, WCQM in beautiful Park Falls, where we just were, and also our newest Brewer affiliate, WBZH in beautiful Hayward, where we just were as well. So looking forward to that. We'll talk more about Clemens, with Clemens, about the Brewers and the Packers coming up at the tail end, the last segment here this hour. I have my Milwaukee Brewers Bob Uecker jersey on tonight to bring him a little luck to keep this big win streak going. Coming up in a minute, going to talk about Wisconsin's state budget. Certainly a lot of things I didn't like about the budget, but here's one I did and do. $5 million to preserve Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin estate. Talk about that and the economic impact. But right now, coming up on 13 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock, time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. But of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that.
Time once again for What's Worse. No prize money involved, nothing to give away, but it is your chance to have your voices heard across the Civic Media Radio Network, all 11 news, sports, and talk network stations. Glad to have you. And by the way, always happy to have you as a sponsor, a partner. Reach out at civicmedia.us, our website, and we're involved. Great to have you along. All right. Here now, this is pretty good. This is pretty good because I think during the summer, people have more time to gossip. Am I wrong about that, Summers?
I think you're right.
Seems like people, they got their, some people have longer, they have vacations, they get together. And often, not to say that there was any gossiping going on last week as Greg and Jane and I travel around the state. No, that didn't happen at all. But some people do gossip.
It's the movie's called I Know What You Did Last Summer, not I Know What You Did Last Winter.
Right, exactly. So there's gossiping and there's gaslighting. So the category today, what's worse, gossip or gaslighting? Gossip or gaslighting. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842.
I think before we get too far into this, we should define gaslighting because people use it way too broadly.
I think that you took the words right out of my mouth. So we're going to turn to our dictionary thesaurus extraordinaire here at the Allbaugh Show, Mr. Aaron Zommers, to give us a Merriam-Webster definition. Zommers, what is gaslighting?
The gaslighting definition in Merriam-Webster is psychological manipulation of a person, usually over an extended period of time, that causes the victim to question the validity of their own thoughts, perception of reality, or memories, and typically leads to confusion, loss of confidence and self-esteem, uncertainty of one's emotional or mental stability, and a dependency on the perpetrator. To make that, to say that in English,
Yes.
In plain English, it is confusing somebody and making them, like, telling them that's not how it happened. It was
Right.
this, or like, this was your idea. You know, just basically lying to them and stating it as fact until they feel like they have to believe you because they can't trust themselves anymore.
Right. And I'm just going to use the political example here. There have been multiple times already during the second Trump administration where President Trump has said, look, that happened. Biden did that. This is all Biden's fault. This happened during Biden. And the latest one was the Fed chairman, Powell. And I was last week when this happened while we were traveling around the state. You know, I don't like to talk a lot of politics when we're traveling around, but so I didn't talk about it last week. But it was where Donald Trump said verbatim that Powell, the Fed chairman, was nominated by Joe Biden. No, he was nominated by Biden. And then another cut clearly showed at the White House when Donald Trump nominated Powell as the Fed chairman. So that's the example there when Trump says, well, that happened under Biden. And it's clearly a lie, clearly false, but he says it with such definitiveness that people start questioning their own memories and get very confused. Is that a good example?
I think so. I think he gaslights people a lot. Now, I don't know if he's always doing it intentionally. I think sometimes he forgets what he did.
Right.
But a lot of the time, I think it is intentional. He's like, nope, that wasn't them. Or
Right.
all that good stuff, that was me. Or like all that bad stuff, that was them. You can't trust them. They're the swamp. I'm an outsider. I'm the businessman. I know what's happening.
So there you go. Thank you very much, Somers, for that. We have some definitions and terms. So what's worse, gossip or gaslighting? Gossip or gaslighting? Well, we talked 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. Download it today at your Apple or Android device. Simply go to your app store, your search bar, type in Civic, C-I-V-I-C. It'll pop up. It takes less than a minute. It is free. The Civic Media app is what Gail King at CBS calls a deal. The Civic Media app. Text us there. What's worse, gossip or gaslighting? Maybe if you have time to go to break, dial up the old hee-haw song. We don't go around spreading rumors. So you better be sure and listen close the first time.
Yeah.
I forget what that segment's called. But hee-haw used to say, that's gossiping. That's when people get together and say, this is who's sleeping with who. And I heard that, this person did this. That's gossiping. Gaslighting is what Zomer said, just simply saying, things are patently false to try to convince you that it's something else. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. What's worse, gossip or gaslighting? Cam, listening in Appleton, says gaslighting is 100% worse. Stating facts, and then, hang on a second, and then I think he's moving around. We'll find it for 1 second. Stating facts and then getting told you are wrong repeatedly over the course of 9-ish months for a specific example. Sounds very specific. Casper, listening here in Madison, says gaslighting for sure is worse. It says a lot more about the person doing it than it does about their victims. Totally agree on that one. Whistler out in Richland Center, giving us a call, 855-752-4842. Whistler, you got 1 minute. What's worse, gossip or gaslighting?
All right. I think gaslighting is worse from the standpoint that people get in trouble over that.
Right.
Gossiping, that's just not right.
Yeah, right.
You keep other people's thoughts and what they do. You should keep them to yourself.
Right.
And not tell everybody else, because if you don't know it's true, don't say anything.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you can't say anything nice, as Eleanor Roosevelt once said, come sit next to me. No, I'm just kidding. That's a real quote, by the way, from Eleanor Roosevelt. What's worse, gossip or gaslighting? We'll come back and discuss it more. Take your phone calls as well. 855-752-4842 or text us on the Civic Media app. More What's Worse straight ahead. It's the Allbaugh Show for a Monday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to 92.7 WMDX.
This is Chad Spate. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the hatred and misinformation that consumes our world, but I also know that we cannot build a house of justice and inclusion on a foundation of hatred and lies. We have to practice what we preach. At Chad's Design Build, we confront injustice the same way we confront a poorly built home, with love, compassion, intelligence, and persistence. We engage our community the way we engage our clients, with honesty and humility and the dogged determination that we can do better. Chad's Design Build, remodeling done well with love.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. In February of 2024, Governor Tony Evers signed new maps for the Wisconsin state legislature into law, putting an end to one of the most extreme partisan gerrymanders anywhere in the country. While that was a momentous achievement for democracy in the state, that wasn't the end of the story. Since then, for more than a year, fair maps advocates and pro-democracy activists have been looking to take the next step and propose a new plan for independent redistricting in Wisconsin that would be here for the long haul. It's a compelling, well-constructed plan that would take the job of drawing maps away from the politicians who run for office on those very maps. In this new feature story, I take a closer look inside the citizen-led grassroots effort as it goes from the idea phase to being presented to the public. Because we absolutely need a long-term solution for redistricting reform in Wisconsin so we don't end up seeing either political party gerrymander Wisconsin's maps ever again.
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation area.
At Hazelden Betty Ford, treating mental health isn't just about breaking old patterns, it's about braving new ones. As the leader in alcohol and drug treatment for 75 years, we know caring for addiction, anxiety, depression, and trauma goes hand in hand.
I don't know if it'll work. I found a link on Facebook.
When life breaks down.
Oh, I found one already. That sounds good. Yeah.
To better mental health.
I also have the opening for the TV show Gossip Girl. So what I was going to do is play that and be like, oh wait, no, that was Gossip Girl. We were looking for Gossip Girls.
All right, that's good.
The opening for the show for Gossip Girl is like 12 seconds.
Because I love you and you're just not ready yet.
About 20 seconds.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size.
Where is she answering? And who am I? That's not a secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
Oh, wait. No, you were looking for Gossip Girls.
Yes.
Okay, my bad. That's this one.
Now we're not ones to go round spreading rumors. Why, really, we're just not the gossipy kind. Oh, you'll never hear one of us repeating gossip. So you'd better be sure and listen close the first time.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Well done, Zombers. Well done. That from one of my favorite all-time shows, Hee Haw, on CBS. We don't go, my favorite lines, we don't go around spreading gossip, so you better be sure and listen close the first time.
Yeah, you'll never hear one of us repeating gossip.
That's right. What's worse, gossip or gaslighting? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Steve, listening on our great station, WFHR, in beautiful Wisconsin Rapids. We've been there and done the show there. Steve, thanks for calling in. Steve, gossip or gaslighting, what's worse?
Yeah, I think surface level has got to be gaslighting, but when we literally delve further into it, gossip actually can ruin lives and really kind of ruin everything. So I'm going to say gossip is worse if it's really bad gossip.
Oh, that's very true, right? I mean, if it's something really hurtful, right? If you're lying, if you're gossiping about somebody having an affair or somebody's married and it's simply not true or whatever, I mean, that could cause a lot of pain and hurt. There's nothing funny about that, certainly.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And like I said, that surface level gaslighting is definitely, it's never a good gaslight situation. Mm-hmm. Gossip can be kind of humorous. Gaslighting's never funny. So.
Yeah. Well thought out, well said, Steve. Appreciate your listenership up there in beautiful Wisconsin Rapids, or as they say, just simply Rapids. Great community up there, Wisconsin Rapids. Great station, WFHR. Appreciate everybody in central Wisconsin there listening in. What's worse, Gossip or gaslighting? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Now, Tony Zimmerman, our very own Tony Zimmerman, who does all of our reels and stuff, our video, he's going to get me in trouble. First, he says gaslighting is worse. Feels way more manipulative. Everybody has dealt with gossip. And then he goes on to say, speaking of gossiping, did you hear Pat Kreitlow is actually bald and he wears a toupee? Yes, that's right. Tony is putting out there, Pat wears a piece.
Hold on, let me put that in the fact-checking machine.
That
is false. That is not true.
Untrue. I've spent a lot of time with Pat Kreitlow. I can tell you that his wonderful coif of hair is very, very real. There is no piece involved. There's no. Letterman used to do a thing on the Late Show, and hopefully we get time to talking about Colbert here before we're out of here today. Letterman used to do a piece called "Hair Piece, No Hair Piece." It was fantastic. And he'd have people come out. He'd have guys come out, and he and Paul would guess whether or not the guy that came out from behind the curtain had a hairpiece or not, or whether it was real. It was a great bit. I really enjoyed it. Hairpiece, no hairpiece. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. What's worse, gossiping or gaslighting? Heather, our on-site production person, better known as my sister, says gaslighting is way worse. Manipulating truth is so dangerous. That's a key word. Gossip, many times, is truth, but behind closed doors. Not great, but sometimes true. See, I agree 100% with her. Is it really gossiping if it's true?
Yeah, I think here's my stance on it. I'm watching the show Gossip Girl right now. The intro, which I played at the beginning. Yeah, I love it so much because I can't help but love drama. I like to think that I don't,
As
but
if
I do.
we don't have enough around here.
But I have to say, as demonstrated by that show and real life, you don't have to worry about either gossiping or gaslighting if you just tell the damn truth.
Well, right there. That's well said, Summers. That's absolutely well said. What's worse, gossiping or gaslighting? Barb, listening in Waukesha, WAUK, gaslighting is worse because it's emotionally abusive, because it's repetitive and intentionally manipulative. Gossip is gossip. Well said. Agree with that. Brett, listening in beautiful Brown Deer on AUK, says gaslighting is more nefarious, but gossip is more prevalent, but gaslighting is worse. Cam and Appleton said, Todd has learned nothing from Days of Our Lives. I didn't watch Days of Our Lives. I watched As the World Turns and Young and the Restless, and occasionally Bold and the Beautiful. Len in Madison, gaslighting is worse. Gossiping causes social injury. Gaslighting causes social and
psychological.
And psychological injury. What else do we hear? Brian in Madison and MDX says gaslighting is manipulation. Well said on that one for sure. I think we got all the text in here. Zommers, quickly, gaslighting or gossiping?
Yeah, I think gaslighting is worse just because the intent is to destroy somebody's sense of reality as opposed to, spreading rumors can be dangerous, but destroying someone's grip on reality, that's messed up.
Yeah, I agree. I think that gaslighting is overall worse because of manipulation, and it's just repeating something that's patently not true. So there you go. Grant was a great addition. And I particularly like the artwork today for those watching the stream. Gossiping is like colonial women sitting around gossiping. And is that Katharine Hepburn, a young Katharine Hepburn?
I am uncertain.
Who is that on the gaslighting one? Anyway, that was more What's Worse tomorrow on the show. Looking forward to that. So tune in to tomorrow. I'll give you a little hint. It involves breakfast food. Breakfast food for What's Worse tomorrow. A syrupy edition, a sappy edition of What's Worse tomorrow. All right, come on back. I want to get into this a little bit. Lots of things that I said I did not like in the recently passed Wisconsin state budget. But here's one great story by Ann Kleiber from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel on the Frank Lloyd Wright Taliesin estate, which is good. Come on back. We'll discuss it. Stay with us on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You'll never hear one of us.
news and great conversation.
It's so
at
good.
92.7 WMDX. Connecting audiences, powering brands. This is Civic Media. Learn more at
Cam in Appleton says, in the early days of designing my game,
/advertise.
he's working on a video game. He's told me a little bit about it before. He wanted to make a game centered around gaslighting and the Mandela effect, which is where, people collectively kind of remember things incorrectly. But I decided against pissing off the consumers at every turn. I think that's probably a good move.
Within these meat markets after
Unless you're an established game
It's
designer who
interesting
messes
because
with people.
Typically would see beef and pork demand.
There are people who can get away with
I
that.
wouldn't say that it necessarily goes down, but we move on the beef side. We typically move
Casper
away
words
from
the question
those whole
in a different
muscle
way.
cuts
What's
after the
worse,
4th of
spiders or
July.
snakes?
So we're not grilling ribeyes and T-bones. People tend to eat less, eat lighter meals after the 4th of July, and that means that grilling out changes. It's a lot more hamburgers, hot dogs, bratwurst, things like that. Especially in Wisconsin, we really like our sausages. But with that said, beef demand domestically and pork demand for that matter have stayed very, very strong coming out of the holidays.
Swenson says that another unique aspect being seen is the lamb market. It's holding strong due to finding a new market in the Bahamas. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo, and we'll take a look at some agriculture news.
Yeah, Cam,
next.
that's a game I was
Rural
thinking of
Mutual
too.
Insurance is proud to sponsor the event tent at Wisconsin Farm Technology Days, August 5th through the 7th at Clinton Farms in Bear Creek. For nearly a century, Rural Mutual has protected Wisconsin farms and supported rural communities with local insurance agents in every county. Join them at the Rural Mutual Event Center for live music, vendor booths, barbecue demos,
trying
and
to
more.
find, I've got it here,
They're
but I can't
proud to
find it.
protect what matters most.
Colbert's
Your
announcement.
farm, your family,
Jane
your
I sent it to
future.
Jane.
Learn
Actually,
more at
I sent it to Jane and
ruralmutual.com.
Greg. You played it on their show.
When hot weather strikes your cattle, milk production drops and feed intakes decrease.
Hey everybody.
Summer heat also impacts.
We got a
the
great
quality
show
of
for you
your food
tonight.
nutrition.
Senator Adam.
Protect your cows and grow your bottom line.
Quick
At
fingers
BioVet's
Zommers,
Bovine
thank
Gold
you.
Light to your cows' daily
Let's
ration.
try to get to that.
Bovine Gold Light keeps the herd hydrated, maintains milk production.
Oh, when you said
and
what's
keeps your
worse,
breeding
spiders or
program in check.
text it back.
Learn more about Bovine Gold Light at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report. Now let's take a look at some agriculture news. The Farm Wisconsin Discovery Center will be celebrating their 7th anniversary. And as part of this celebration, from Thursday, July 24th through Saturday, July 26th, kids 18 and under will get in free. In other news, Compier Home has awarded $2,500 to the Brownsville Fire Company. They're doing this to honor those that partake in selfless acts every day to keep others safe. With a look at your agriculture news from the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo.
Reach, engage, grow with Civic Media. Log on civicmedia.us/advertise.
A hazy sunshine today with high temperatures scraping the low 80s and an east breeze. Become partly cloudy tonight with a chance of showers and storms early tomorrow morning. And then a few more expected through the overnight into Wednesday. That's when the heat cranks up and highs hit the 90s. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. It's 80 degrees at our studios.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Cam just sent a Photoshop picture of ghost pepper flavored Gerber baby food.
One set of viewers that will watch Fox News or watch CNN. What I really actually love and respect from all your viewers is the fact that you tend to have viewers that think on both sides of the aisle. To be open-minded, you need to be willing to listen and learn and possibly change your mind. You don't have to change your mind, but just being willing to listen.
The award-winning Maggie Dawn Show. Weekday afternoons from 4 until 6.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was.
Zommers and I think a lot alike a lot of times. That's what's very interesting.
I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do
About
it.
30 seconds.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking
The Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 35 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Monday, July 21st. Coming up before this half hour is out, our very own sports reporter, Mike Clemens. He's driving up to Green Bay. Here's how great Clemens is. He says, look, I got you covered. When I texted him this morning, he said the Brewers are on a hot streak. Nobody can give us the inside better than you. And also the Packers starting their training camp on Wednesday. Clemens is on the road, but he says, I'll pull over somewhere safely. I'll pop on. I said, you don't have to. He goes, no, I'm happy to do it. That's how great Mike Clemens is. So a little bit later on, we're going to hear from Mike Clemens literally on the road on both the Brewers and the Packers. The Brewers try to extend their winning streak to 11 games tonight on the road against the Seattle Mariners. Broadcast kicks off across many of these stations at 8:05. First pitch at 8:35. Mike Clemens will be along and talk about that. What was that song you were playing there, Zombers? Coming in.
Dirty Laundry by Don Henley, because I feel like it fits both What's Worse and one of our current topics about Colbert.
Oh, all right. Very good. I like that. Dirty Laundry. Yeah, we're going to get to Colbert in a minute, but first, not so much breaking. It happened a couple hours ago here. I forgot to mention this earlier in the show, but some very sad news for those of us who grew up at a certain time from the entertainment world. Dateline, San Jose, Costa Rica, according to the Associated Press. Malcolm Jamal Warner, the actor who played the teenage son Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, has died at the age of 54 in an accidental drowning in Costa Rica, according to authorities. Costa Rica's Judicial Investigation Department said today that Warner drowned yesterday afternoon on a beach on Costa Rica's Caribbean coast. He was swimming at Playa Cocles in Limon Province when a current pulled him deeper into the ocean. Quote, he was rescued by people on the beach, unquote, according to the department's initial report, but first responders from Costa Rica's Red Cross found him without vital signs, and he was taken to the morgue. Warner created many memorable TV moments etched into the memories of Generation X children and their parents, including a pilot episode argument with Bill Cosby's Cliff Huxtable about money and an ear piercing he tries to hide from his dad. His Theo was the only son among 4 daughters in the household of Cliff Huxtable and Felicia Rashad's Claire Huxtable on the NBC sitcom. And he was to be one of the prime representations of America's teenage boyhood on a show that was most popular in America for much of its run, from 1984 to 1992. He played the role for 8 seasons in all 197 episodes, winning an Emmy nomination for supporting actor in a comedy back in 1986. For many, the lasting image of the character and of Warner is him wearing a badly botched mock designer shirt sewed by his sister Denise, played by Lisa Bonet. Again, headline at this hour, Malcolm Jamal Warner, who played the teenage son Theo on The Cosby Show, has died at the age of 54 in an accidental drowning in Costa Rica. Zombers, too young, probably didn't watch The Cosby Show.
Yeah, not really. Just a little bit.
And with, Bill Cosby is a subject for another day, but got himself into a lot of trouble. And so you don't see a lot of reruns of The Cosby Show anymore on cable television, probably for that reason. But Malcolm Jamal Warner, a beloved character actor, and only at the age of 54, having spent a lot of time in Central America, I can tell you that there are certain places where the rip tides along the coast are really strong. And if you're not careful, if you don't know what you're doing, you can be taken out to sea pretty easily. So certainly thinking of his family at this hour. 39 now, past the hour of 3 o'clock. Want to get to this great story by Anna Kleiber in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Now, I spent some time beaten up a little bit on the recently passed bipartisan state budget signed by Governor Tony Evers, but here's something I want to pass on that's good. According to the Journal-Sentinel, a $5 million allocation in the newly signed state budget will support restoration and preservation work at famed American architect Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin Estate, a top Wisconsin tourism attraction. Carrie Rodemaker, executive director of Taliesin Preservation, Inc., told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that investment from the state will help restore major structures, expand accessibility, and allow for future generations to visit and enjoy the property. Quote, this was his laboratory, his experimentation, a way that tested materials, tested ideas, tested design, so that he would later use and implement for commissions for different clients. Rodemaker said of Wright, went on to say, quote, so it's a big, wonderful challenge to get these buildings and resources that they need. Located 2.5 miles south of Spring Green in beautiful southwest Wisconsin, Taliesin draws more than 30,000 annual visitors from all 50 states and nearly 60 countries. In 2024, Taliesin generated nearly $4 million in regional economic impact in southwestern Wisconsin, according to a press release from the Taliesin Preservation, Inc. and the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation. Governor Evers said in a statement to the Journal-Sentinel that Taliesin positively contributes to Wisconsin's tourism industry and economy and serves as, quote, a testament to the arts and architecture, unquote, in the state. $5 million going to Taliesin in southwest Wisconsin. I think this is great. Grew up in Richland Center, the hometown or the birthplace of Frank Lloyd Wright, although he didn't necessarily care a lot for Richland Center, I don't think, but that's where he was born. The last remaining work that he commissioned there, the AD German warehouse, still stands. The local committee now owns that and is working on some preservation. Parts of it are now open to the public. Encourage you to check it out. AD German warehouse in Richland Center. And when I was the Chamber of Commerce director there 25 years ago, we had people from all over the world that were trying to get in. Then they have busloads of people. He's very big, Frank Lloyd Wright, in Japan in particular. You'd have busloads of Japanese tourists that would go to Taliesin and Spring Green, then drive up a half an hour to Richland Center simply to stand outside and take pictures of the AD German warehouse. Also spent a little time on the Preservation Foundation board of Taliesin. It's a great organization, great economic impact for Wisconsin, and I applaud Governor Evers and the bipartisan group that passed the state budget for this $5 million to put towards preservation of Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin estate in beautiful Spring Green. It's a good thing. It's a good thing there, and all of Wisconsin benefits because Frank Lloyd Wright is a big commodity around the world, quite frankly. All right, I want to get to this. I know our friends Jay McNair and Greg Bach talked a little bit about this on the road after this broke last week. We had a blessing of guests on the road, so we didn't get to this last week. But I want to address this because, as they say, I was shook. Is that what correct?
Yeah.
I was shook, Zommers. And also when I heard this. When CBS, Paramount Global, CBS announced the cancellation of the Colbert Show over last week. I want to play what Colbert said on his show because tonight is going to be the first show that Colbert does live after this announcement. So here's what Colbert said on his show last week, on the last live show. They actually recorded what they did. So They do two shows on Thursday. They do Thursdays and Fridays. So Friday's show is always pre-recorded. So after they did the shows last Thursday, Colbert kept the audience there, and he said, okay, we're going to do an alternate opening now. So the audience didn't know it was coming. And he did this in one take. And this was the announcement last Thursday.
Oh, hey, everybody. We got a great show for you tonight. Senator Adam Schiff was my guest. We harmonized on 7 Bridges Road. What a voice. I cried. But before we start the show, I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of The Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away. And I do want to say, that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany Network for giving me this chair and this beautiful theater to call home. And of course, I'm grateful to you, the audience, who have joined us. Every night, in here, out there, all around the world, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. I'm grateful to share the stage with this band, these artists over here every night. And I am extraordinarily, deeply grateful to the 200 people who work here. We get to do this show. We get to do this show for each other every day, all day. And I've had the pleasure and the responsibility of sharing what we do every day with you in front of this camera for the last 10 years. And let me tell you, it is a fantastic job. I wish somebody else was getting it. And it's a job that I'm looking forward to doing with this usual gang of idiots for another 10 months. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
We're going to lock in.
Y'all ready?
Let's go.
Y'all ready? Okay. That's all I wanted to say. Dante, let's do the show. Jazz Cowboy, plop it on the poof.
That was Stephen Colbert on The Late Show on CBS last week on Thursday. And again, he did that entire show. They taped the entire show, and the audience had no idea until after they got done the taping, and they said, hey, we're going to make an alternate cold open. And I guess Colbert he did several, like, what he feigned, like, surprise, like, oh, hey there. I guess he did that a few times, but then once he got into the actual announcement, he did that all in one take. And for those people that were in the room, they've been telling different sources and tweeting out that Colbert went over to his wife, who was sitting there on the set. She was kind of wiping away tears, and they hugged, and he walked off, and then everybody was ushered out, and that was that. Been a lot of speculation on whether CBS... So Paramount Global is trying to merge with Skydance in a multi-billion-dollar agreement, which is subject to the Federal Communication Commission, which is controlled by Trump. Of course, CBS has already agreed to mediation to pay out millions of dollars in a settlement to Trump over a 60 minutes interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris last year. They claimed that it was, the Trump folks did, that it was edited to make it sound different. It wasn't. That's just fact. But CBS, like ABC, who also had a multi-million-dollar settlement to Trump over a George Stephanopoulos interview, also decided to settle. So there's speculation on whether, in order to get this merger between Paramount Global and Skydance done, did Trump's folks say, well, you got to cancel Colbert? There is some great information on a site I follow called LateNighter.com. Headline, CBS reportedly lost $40 million on Colbert's Late Show last year. Not enough time to get into this right now, but back in 2018, Puck reported that in all of late night, 2018, all of late night combined generated $438 million in advertising revenue. By 2023, that number had been cut in half and continued to fall. I think there's something to that. I also think there's something to the fact that there was pressure put on. Look, Colbert is still on the air until May. Tune in tonight because it's his last show, or his first show since all this was put out there. Stay tuned. Mike Clemens is next on the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio.
Connecting audiences.
For those of you on the phone line, since we do have Mike Clemens here to talk about sports, I don't think we'll really have time.
Yeah, unfortunately, Whistler and CJ got to move on to sports, but appreciate you listening.
Experience northern Wisconsin this season and book your vacation at Lena's Northern Pines Resort on beautiful Butternut Lake in Butternut, Wisconsin. This quaint resort has it all. A full-service resort and restaurant, open year-round for all your seasons, from ATVing to snowmobiling, grouse hunting, deer hunting, and even ice fishing. Or just come to relax with the whole family. And there's also an event space for that perfect occasion that you might be celebrating. Butternut Lake is a 1,000-plus acre Class A musky lake, along with walleye, crappie, perch, and panfish that the kids love to catch. It's perfect for escaping.
Mike Clemens says he was at a Don Henley concert.
Check your next adventure
Really?
Since that was a tune by him.
northernpines.net. www.northernpines.net.
I'm hungry. What's cooking?
Oh, no, not me. It's your turn.
Oh, we're back to taking turns?
Yes.
Well, how about Sugar River Pizza?
Oh, yeah, now they can cook.
I could really go for some of that 12-hour smoked pulled pork.
Ooh, and some pasta. Okay, now I'm hungry. Sugar River, here we come.
And they have that great kids menu, too.
We don't have any kids.
Right. That's beside the point. The point is, I'm hungry, you're hungry.
Let's go.
Yes. And we should talk about having some kids.
Get in the car, Bob. Sugar River, Sun Prairie, Verona, New Glarus.
That's funny only because I know who did the commercial. Captain Lake and Gordian. Let me tell you, they ain't having kids together.
Flashes and night sweats can sound like. Veoza is the #1 prescribed hormone-free treatment FDA approved for moderate to severe vasomotor symptoms, also known as hot flashes and night sweats, due to menopause. Veoza can cause serious side effects, including liver problems. Your doctor will do blood tests before and during treatment. Stop Veoza and call your doctor if you have symptoms of liver problems, such as feeling more tired than usual, decreased appetite, nausea, vomiting, itching, yellowing of the eyes or skin, pale stool, dark urine, or stomach pain. Don't use Veoza if you have cirrhosis, severe kidney problems, kidney failure, or take CYP1A2 inhibitors. Ask your doctor about Veoza. To learn more, call 1-866-239-1637 or go to veoza.com. That's VEOZAH.com.
Necessary addition.
Yes, absolutely.
Are you ever questioning when life will slow down? Are you ever thinking of just relaxing and enjoying the simple things? All of this is possible, even while still being in the workforce. Worthington, Minnesota is a town growing, yet it's nothing like Metro
25
Life.
seconds.
Professional and labor jobs.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 8 minutes before the hour of 4 o'clock at the top of the hour. ABC, CBS, or James Kelly News, depending upon which of our great stations you're listening to. A check of weather, and then a check of sports by our great sports reporter Mike Clemens, followed by another edition of the Maggie Dawn Show. Maggie is out today, but a great fill-in host, a regular fill-in host in the guest chair, Matt Rothschild, will be here, and you don't want to miss that. Matt Rothschild immediately after our show, followed by Pete Schwaba, who I understand Zommers will be in studio.
That he will.
With one of our other good friends, John Roach, tonight. So check out Schwaba from 6 until 8 tonight on Nightlight. All right, speaking of Mike Clemens, nobody knows it better. Nobody gets it done more often for us, and we always appreciate it when he makes time. Here's what kind of a guy he is. He is pulled over safely now, I hope, to join us here to talk a little Brewers and Packers. Our great sports reporter, Mike Clemens. Mike, thanks a lot for doing this.
Hey, Todd, on Capitol Drive in Milwaukee, just past the courthouse. I've been listening to the show on AM 540 in the Milwaukee area. It's one of your affiliates, WAUK, coming in loud and clear. And yeah, and I'm headed to Green Bay because training camp now is going to start on Wednesday, but I need a day to get back in there and set up. You know why? Because one of the things, you know what, one of the big stories you're going to hear Wednesday, it's not the Elton Jenkins contract or how Jordan Love looks with, Matthew Golden, the first round. You know what's going to be?
What?
The Packers' new locker room.
Yes, right?
They've put millions, they've totally blew up the locker room they've had for the last 20 years. And I got to do an interview with Ed Policy, the new incoming president and CEO, and so some of his people around there, and I kind of got a little advanced description. A lot of LED lighting, a lot of bigger lockers. They don't have those. Whenever you hear me do interviews with Jordan Love or the Packers players in the locker room, you hear this banging noise because they had this heavy wooden door that was the seat of their locker where they could store their shoes and stuff. So that's gone, so it's not so noisy, but much brighter lighting, which is good for TV, and then all kinds of ports like for cell phones.
Oh, sure.
For all their electronics. And then I'm telling Andrew that from the PR staff of the Brewers because we're looking around. Because that's what the Brewers did to their clubhouse a year ago. Like, wonder where they got that idea.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And now, is Jordan Love a newlywed yet, Mike? Has he got married? Are they talking about that?
Got married to Ronica a couple of weeks ago in California.
Were you there?
And yes, and no, I was not.
What's going on? Why weren't you on the list, Clemens?
Yeah, there's reasons why. No. But I know some of his teammates were there, like Rasheed Walker's left tackle. But we'll get some more details from him on that. He did a youth football camp we went to the other day. We just kind of talked a little bit about the program and how he's raising funds for Hands Alive. But yeah, he's married to Ronica Stone. She's a professional volleyball player, and he's got a ring on there. And then, of course, the joke is, well, we know what the next ring is you got to add to that collection, right?
It's going to be Mike Clemens playing Bob Eubanks and the Newlywed Game up at Lambeau Field this week. Any other quick updates on the Packers training camp kicking off on Wednesday, Mike, before you change over to Brewers?
We're going to watch for this Elton Jenkins contract. He's the player that's moving from left guard to center, and if there's any other things like that, he may be what they call a hold-in. He's starting out on the non-football injury PUP list, a physically unable to perform list. But, when we get into this camp, it's looking for Jordan Love to not only mesh with their new receiver, Matthew Golden, but the existing ones like Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, can they take that to the next level?
Yeah, can't wait. Nobody reports it better than you're going to be there and bring us all the information on Packers training camp on Wednesday. But first, Mike Clemens kicking off tonight. Nobody hotter in baseball than our Milwaukee Brewers. They take on the Seattle Mariners. Kick off the broadcast at 8:05 across many of these network stations. And first pitch at 8:35 Wisconsin time. It's a late one, but how exciting is Milwaukee?
The Dodgers spent $320 million on their payroll. The Brewers are about $112 million. I mean, you talk about David and Goliath. And when the Dodgers were in Milwaukee, I went to Dave Roberts, their manager's office, after every game. And, you could see these guys are a little worn out. Their bullpen has been hurt, so that's set them back. But it's the old kind of the case of the fat cats. The guys are making $40 million, and they're probably worrying about the addition of their houses, as opposed to Caleb Durbin, who's saying, how can I get a 4-year contract out of this deal?
Right.
So there's a lot more effort going on with this young Brewers club.
Love that manager Pat Murphy called them the average Joes this weekend.
Average Joe.
Right?
Yeah, he says, I doubt that anybody in L.A., and especially, and we also learned that the Dodgers have a contingency of about 15 to 20 reporters from Japan. Japan follows the Dodgers. NHK Network was there. And it's like, I'll bet you these people don't even know half of our roster. They do now, though. They do now.
No, I think it's just exciting. Brewers going for their 11th win in a row tonight in Seattle. Seattle looking, they're second or so in their division.
Team.
What?
They're a good team.
Yeah, they're a decent team.
They've got some sluggers and all that, but the Brewers just keep on, chipping away with getting a guy on base, stealing a base, being aware and not striking out, making these guys pitch. They wear out bullpens, and that's what Dave Roberts said of them. He goes, "That's an aggressive team, man." And Murphy is utilizing that young roster the way he should.
I love the scrappiness of the Brewers right now and the way they're getting it done. And looking forward to that game out in Seattle. They're back home this weekend, right?
Yeah, back home this weekend, and then they got that big anniversary, 25th anniversary of Miller Park, a derby, home run derby with Prince Fielder and Ryan Braun coming back. So a lot of excitement going on in Milwaukee. I may have to do some driving back and forth from training camp to the ballpark, right?
Wouldn't you tell me that you're like 6 weeks you're packing to be on the road?
I will be in Green Bay essentially until Labor Day. I mean, this is hard knocks time, man.
I know.
Every day there's something going on.
You're on the. Well, we're doing the show up in Green Bay on Friday, so maybe we can work something out. We get together with you on Friday.
We'll swing by after practice, Todd.
Thank you a lot, Mike Clemens. Nobody does it better. A great sports reporter reporting live on the way to Green Bay on the road. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate you. Drive safe.
You bet, pal.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mike Clemens, everybody. Many thanks to Zommers as well. All of you for listening. Stay tuned. Matt Rothschild filling in for Maggie Dawn next. We'll be back here tomorrow talking about a very serious subject, the increase of death by suicide of Wisconsin seniors, and we'll lighten things up with what's worse as well. Until then, Todd Allbaugh saying, whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. Go Brew Crew. We'll see you tomorrow.
And they will hear you.
Adios, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.